Hello magical people and welcome to my channel. My name is Lou and today I will be offering a pick a card reading with the subject being clarity. Now the way we're going to do this pick a card is we are going to have you select an element or two elements or three elements or all four. But regardless, there will be four readings. Each one will be named for an element. So we will have earth, we will have water, we will have air, and we will have fire. And this will all be put into cards that I'll insert after the fact. So, you are more than welcome to pick an alchemical symbol for the element because it appeals to you visually or because you feel an affinity towards that particular element. Perhaps your astrological chart has one of this or more of this over that. Another way you can do it is by what those elements typically represent. So if you would like to gain clarity around a work issue or a money issue or a job issue or a housing issue, then you'd maybe want to go with pentacles. If you would like clarity around the way your thoughts and logic are working and maybe the self-talk, then perhaps air. If you are having questions about an emotional reality that you're experiencing, then perhaps you would want to go with water. And if you are looking for some clarity around some of your interests, hobbies, passions, or things that make you tick on a more spiritual level, then perhaps you would want to choose the element of fire. So like I said, pick one, pick two, pick three, pick four. It's entirely up to you. Let's see. As always, please take what resonates and leave the rest, and always be sure that you'll follow your own guidance and make your own decisions at the end of the day. And let's see what else before we get going. Oh, please like, comment, subscribe. It's really super helpful, especially hitting the like button seems to really make a big difference. So if you could do that, that'd be great. If you want to leave feedback, that would be amazing. I'd love to chat with you. If you'd like to tell me something that did or didn't resonate, or just say hi, then please feel free to drop something in the comments below. And also, if you have a suggestion for a future pick a reading or future pick a card reading, then I would be more than happy to take that suggestion as well. So having said that, we're going to go ahead and dive right into the first reading. So, I've already pre-shuffled everything. I've got a couple of decks here. I've got a couple of tarot decks and a couple of oracle decks. And we are going to start off the first reading that we are going to do. If you selected the element or symbol of earth, then this is going to be your reading. So let's go ahead and jump right in, earth folks. We are going to, like I said, the subject is clarity. So we're going to be looking at a variety of things. And to start off with, let's see if we could get a couple or few cards just talking about the overall energy for the group of folks that picked the fire element. I'm sorry, the earth element. Goodness gracious. So this is, again, I misspoke. This is earth. So we are looking for a couple of cards on the overall energy. And we have sunlight, which is also known as the sun. We have my chapstick rolling into frame. We have the Two of Spells, otherwise known as the Two of Wands. And then we also have the Child of Boons, which is otherwise known as the Page of Pentacles. Okay, so that's all for your current energy. We're also going to be pulling some cards here for the challenge at hand. So what I'm kind of seeing first off is that the overall energy is that you are trying to move through the space of methodically and with intention and with mindfulness building your dream or working towards a dream and something that you believe will bring you with wish fulfillment. Now, okay, so for the challenge at hand, we have, oh, I just can't read. I just can't read. Okay, so I think I've been saying starlight was what came out in the overall energy, but I can't read because it actually says sunlight, because in the challenge we have starlight. So let me reframe this a little bit based on this understanding of being able to read the words that are in front of my face. So this is something that you are going for, that you believe is going to bring a lot of sunlight into your life, and you are trying to move towards it methodically and with intention. You are really trying to be mindful about this here, Earth folks. And with challenges that come up, this is a really, really interesting energy to come up in the challenge position, because we have the Ten of Visions, which is the Ten of Cups, and we have the Starlight card, which is the Star, and then we also have the Weaver of Spells, which is the Mother of Cups. I'm sorry, Mother of Wands. So there's a lot of really positive energy showing up in your how is this challenging me right now situation. And so I almost kind of feel like the challenge isn't so much an actual thing as your perception of the thing. So like the reality is that this is something that can bring you a full heart, like whatever this is that you're looking for clarity over, it is something that does have the potential to be wish fulfillment and a full heart, and having mastery over like being able to weave those things together in a way that is self-sustaining. You know, the Mother of Wands is very, very good at being able to manage that fire. You know, she's water and fire together. So there's a lot of balance that can come. You know, she's got a good balance of the water and fire, bringing emotionality to those things that bring us passion. But what's interesting is with all of these three super positive cards showing up in the challenge area, I kind of feel like, pardon my language, but I kind of feel like you're energetically cock blocking yourself from actually attaining your own wish fulfillment. So let's see if we can manage to move through these challenges at hand, what the gift to be had is. And we have the Five of Visions, otherwise known as the Five of Cups. We have the Seven of Spells, otherwise known as the Seven of Wands. And we have the Enchanter, known as the Magician. So if you can sort of move out of your own way, and maybe this is fear, we'll pull some clarifiers in a little bit as to what that challenge is. But if you can do that, then this allows you to move into a position where you are uniquely singled out from those around you. And I don't mean in a negative way, I mean in a way that you're able to really claim your own unique sense of power and use that to move past disappointments that you've had in the past, and really, like the Magician, like the Manifestor, or like the Enchanter, being able to manifest that into real world reality. So there's a lot of good energy here. Now we're going to pull a couple of cards for the underlying or unseen elements, you know, kind of either the thing you don't see coming or the thing you don't see that is already there, that is, you know, showing up and applying force or pressure to this. And we have the Two of Visions, the Two of Cups, the World, and the Ace of Pentacles. Oh, so that is fascinating. So the Two of Visions, obviously that's the Two of Cups. This can be a significant emotional connection. So this can be a partnership. It can be a, like, soulkin is kind of the way I think about this card, is kind of soulkin. And it can also be with regards to the self and kind of coming to a place where you learn how to fill your own cup, so that the sum of the two is, you know, the sum is greater than the parts kind of thing. And we also have the World here, which is about completing a whole cycle. Oh, okay. And then the Ace of Boons, which is about starting a new cycle. So I have a feeling that there's some of the underlying elements here have to do with your relationship to yourself, and maybe having a little bit of fear or concern about stepping into your power. Or with the Two of Visions, the Two of Cups, it may also be that there is a person very close to you in your life who you feel is kind of offering some interference here, and maybe you haven't even really noticed it. Maybe it's a more subtle kind of thing, or maybe it's not even so much interference as just kind of sort of background disapproval or confusion about the thing that you're trying to manifest here. So let's see, what are we gonna do first? First we're gonna pull a couple of more cards and get some advice from our guides, and then we will start. We'll pull a couple of oracle cards and then we'll start doing some clarifying. So, advice from our guides with how to deal with this situation, how to actually let all of those good intentions and all of that hard work, that consistency that we're putting in towards trying to find our own sunlight and find the thing that brings us like sustainable childlike joy and makes us feel elation. So let's pull some advice cards. So we have the Strength card, the Four of Boons, otherwise known as the Four of Pentacles, and the Liar, otherwise known as the Devil. So yeah, I feel like your guides are inviting you to work through this kind of energetic blocking of the self that you're doing, and to be mindful of your resources, but not to hold close to them. So it's like there's this feeling of like guarding things so much that you are actually kind of not seeing the forest for the trees, you know, that, and with this Strength card here, you know, it feels like maybe you are approaching this with feeling like this is something you need to sort of brute strength, like you need to force it in some way. And the Strength card that is, you know, your guides are inviting you to allow rather than to force, and that might make the energy move smoother. So let's what do I want to do first here? I think we're going to do oracle cards first. So we're going to pull just 2 oracle cards just to supply some additional information. And we have the Violet Flame, and I'm not really super familiar with that card, so I'm going to look at the book here and see what it has to say about that. Violet Flame. Most of us experience a dark or difficult time at some point or another in our lives, and although it may feel like it will never end or be better, the Violet Flame card is here to tell you that it will be. The only way to conquer the shadows in our life is to turn off all the lights and face the darkness head on. Okay, so yes, this is really just kind of following up my sort of guessing here that this thing that's showing up in your challenge at hand, this sort of energetically blocking yourself from your own wish fulfillment and from your own Ten of Cups sort of moment, is yeah, just like a fear of stepping into your power. Maybe it's because of her past experiences that are shaping your current information. Oh, and we have 2 here. So we have the Turkey Spirit, give with gratitude and grace, and then we also have the Canary Spirit, sing your own song. Yeah, so like, if this has been a difficult time that you're coming out of and you're just trying to sort of like reshape or reframe your whole life, or a significant part of your life, then, you know, the encouragement here from your guides is to just go ahead and again, accept your uniqueness. This is the gift to be had, is being able to fully step into your own power and give with grace and gratitude. That makes me wonder about this 2 of Visions, this 2 of Cup card that's coming up here with the underlying or unseen elements. So if it is maybe that you're getting feedback from somebody that feels like you're not getting the support that you'd like, then rather than trying to headbutt against that, just sort of acknowledging that people are going to be where they are and there's nothing you can do to control them, and just have gratitude for the fact that you're not in that headspace. So let's go ahead and pull some clarifiers. I guess first, for the overall energy, I would like to, terrible shuffle, try that again. For the overall energy, I would like to clarify, why is the Sunlight card coming up here? Like, what is up with this Sun card that is in your overall energy? What's that come from here? And we have the Ace of Pentacles. Okay, so that's interesting that the Ace of Pentacles is kind of showing up twice here, both in our underlying forces or unseen elements, as well as in the overall energy. So this does feel like you're really trying something new. Like you're really trying to, whether it's a new job or a new place to live or just a new material circumstance in some way. And that this new approach that you're taking, you do have a deep belief that will, like, this is somehow the key. This Ace of Pentacles is the key to unlocking that sunlight. And based on all of the positivity in these cards, I would tend to agree. It really does seem as though there's so much encouragement here. I wonder if it might be one of those situations too where it's like there's a part of you that's like, oh, I've tried this before, I've been here before, and you know, my dreams, there's just no way to get to them. Like there's no way to actually create the life that I actually want to have. And that actually isn't true. And the card that just kind of like fell out here is the Fool card. So there really is like a leap of faith. There is a leap of faith that's kind of required to make this happen. Stepping into the unknown and being willing to face that unknown and being willing to kind of lean into that unknowing and that fear. Let's see why this 10 of Visions card, the 10 of Cups card, let's see why that is showing up in your challenge at hand. So why is the 10 of Cups showing up as a challenge? And we have here the 8 of Wands. Okay, which makes me wonder if, and this can be internal communication or external communication, but it makes me wonder if there's somebody either in your head or in your space who is essentially trying to gaslight you. And tell you that like, no, this isn't really what you want. No, whatever you think you feel about this isn't right. And that's actually not the case. So, you know, we're going to pull another card on that just because I'm feeling like I should. And holy shit, it's the Sun. So yeah, your guides are wanting you to understand that although this internal conflict about whether or not this is your path towards fulfilling your heart and making you happy and finding your own starlight, finding your own wish fulfillment, whatever it is that's telling you that that is not real is wrong, because this is, like, the challenge at hand is that this is your dream. This is going to fulfill you, and you really are just getting in your way. Like, there isn't actually a real obstacle here except being able to kind of plow through the resistant energy that the fear is making you feel. Let's get a little bit of a clarifier now for the gift to be had. Let's take a look at that 5 of Visions, that 5 of Cups, because, you know, the 5 of Cups is all about moving away from disappointment, or wanting to move away from disappointment, but not realizing that we actually have opportunities still available to us. So it's kind of like that, I mean, I don't want to make too much light of it, but that sort of like crying over spilt milk, which, like I said, I feel like that's maybe a little bit too much, bringing too much levity to the situation at hand, although if that resonates, go for it. But it's kind of like that idea of being very disappointed over something that has gone wrong, and yet not seeing that you've still got a whole bunch of full cups. You still get a whole bunch of positive, whole, unbroken things available to choose from. So it's kind of like the disappointment, and the 5 of Cups can actually like keep you from seeing a greater reality. So let's see. Okay, and we have the 4 of Cups showing up as a clarifier for the 5 of Cups. So that's interesting because, again, there's an air with the 4 of Cups, there's like an air of apathy or not seeing what's coming at you, because it's like there's these 3 cups that are totally holding all of this person's attention, and they're not even noticing the 4th cup, that gift from the universe, that other opportunity that's kind of coming in from the side. So I feel like with a gift to be had here, with that showing up as the gift to be had, it's going to be, that gift is the 4th cup. That gift is noticing that even though there are things to be disappointed about, that in fact, being disappointed about those things doesn't negate the fact that there are still opportunities available to you. So I kind of feel like that's really one of the gifts here, is that once you can sort of blow through and sort of transform or transmute that very resistant energy, that energy that is resistant to your own success, then not only will you start noticing things falling into place and manifesting you, and you being able to, become that dragon, be in that place of uniqueness and magic, but that also it's going to allow you to move out of that space of disappointment. All right, now we're going to do, let's see which one next. For the underlying features here, I want to get a clarifier on the Two of Cups. Was that, let's see if we can get a little bit more information about that. And we have the Knight of Wands is the first thing that came out. And so this is making me think that maybe it is another person in your life. Maybe it's a sibling or a family member or a partner or a close friend who is offering some sort of subtle resistance, or if not overt resistance, then at least a lack of support that you would like to be receiving right now as you try and navigate your own blocks. It's like sometimes when we're blocked, we kind of need people to help us shake that energy loose for ourselves so that we can move out of it. But conversely, the same is also true, is that sometimes there are times when we are in flow, and if we allow ourselves to be unduly influenced by other people's energy, then that can actually stop our flow. And so with the Knight of Wands, I'm kind of feeling like maybe this is somebody who's fiery in your life. Maybe this is somebody who's got a lot of opinions and a lot of passion about what they think you should do. And again, this can also be a part of you. It doesn't have to be a person outside of you, although I'm kind of feeling like for most of you it is. And like, that's okay. Like, people are going to people. You don't have to control people or make them be anything other what they are. But bringing awareness to these unseen elements can maybe allow you to shift your energy loose a little bit and move out of that sort of blocking yourself, so that you can really move into that magician energy. So for the advice from our guides, the last three cards here, we've got, again, the Liar, Strength, and the Four of Boons. So let's see here if we can get some advice. We're going to pull one more card for each of those three, because that's the advice from the guides, and I want to make sure that we have as much clarity on that as possible. So let's see here. We've got, for the Liar, we have the Hanged Man. Okay. For the Strength card, we have the Six of Wands, and for the Four of Pentacles, we have the Ace of Wands. Okay, this is really, really interesting. Yeah, sorry for the, for the silence there for a minute. I feel like with the Liar card being clarified by the Hanged Man, then, kind of what you're being invited to do here is to go within and explore. Like, your guides are asking you, like, to go within, put a pause on everything for a moment, because these challenges at hand, the cock blocking of oneself energetically, like, there's a reason for that. There's a reason why we're doing that. We're a reason why those fears and such are showing up, and our guides are inviting us to take a pause and really investigate that a little bit more. Sometimes the devil energy can also come up as codependent, and so if this is a situation where you're trying to gain clarity, you're trying to move forward, you're trying to reach these goals that you have, and somebody else is influencing that situation a lot, then that can be sometimes codependent behavior. There is a pretty big difference between codependence and interdependence, and interdependence is significantly more rare than one would imagine. So there's an invitation there to really go within and explore that. Now, with the Strength card being clarified by the Six of Wands card here. Pardon me, I'm just going to have a sip of water. All right, so with the Strength card being clarified by the Six of Wands, I kind of feel like maybe this is a situation your guides are inviting you to recognize that the times where you have succeeded in the past through struggle and through hard work have brought you a certain amount of victory. But in this case, this is not so much struggle so much as almost fake it till you make it is the thing that's kind of coming to mind. Like, assuming that you are going to be victorious and assuming that whatever this block isn't there, assuming that you've already done the work, acknowledging that that block is there, and assuming that you have already moved beyond it in a way can be a potent way of talking to ourselves and sort of walking backwards into success. So I really feel like there's an opportunity here. Your guides are telling you that you can do this. Like, this is something that you've already done before. You've overcome so much. There have already been so many challenges that you've been able to successfully navigate. And so, like, in this one, you don't have to try so hard. You don't have to try as hard as you have before. This is like so many energies are already in alignment to allow this situation over which you're trying to gain clarity to actually come to fruition in a way that is beneficial to you. And so sometimes it's a matter of like with like one of those finger trap toys, whereas like the harder you try and pull, the more stuck you get. Whereas if you just relax, then you can easily get your fingers out of that. So, I feel like there's that there. And what's interesting is with the last piece of advice here that from the guides, they kind of gave us the Ace of Wands as a clarifier for the Four of Boons. And so being imaginative with the way that we use our resources, whether that be time or whether that be money or whether that be social capital in some way, there is an invitation here to be creative and to sort of let the lightning strike as to how you can navigate this. So maybe this is a situation where you're trying to get something new off the ground. Maybe you're trying to start a business or a new project and you're very aware that the deck is kind of stacked against you, and so that's causing you to approach this with a feeling of like, well, okay, if I'm going to start this business, but I only have seed money of this amount. And while that is an objective fact that you can't be worked around, the advice from your guides here is to use a little bit of creative thinking here and allowing inspiration to come through to more creatively manage those resources. So there's so much good stuff here. Like, I mean, just looking across, what do I see? I see the Star, the Ten of Cups, the Fool, the Sun, the Magician, Strength, the Six of Wands, the Two of Cups, the World. Like, there is so much great energy here, Earth peoples. And that sounds funny, Earth peoples. Anyways, and I really do feel like this is one of those situations where you're kind of showing up as your own worst enemy. And I don't say that to make anybody feel bad. That's not a reason to judge yourself. And maybe even using the word enemy isn't something I should have done. But acknowledging that you are the one kind of getting in your own way consciously can help to allow some of these subconscious reasons why you may be getting in your own way to sort of bubble up. And so again, being in that place of non-resistant strength, I think is going to be really helpful. So I hope you found this helpful, Earth peoples. I hope you have gained some insight from this and some encouragement from it. I'd love to hear your story if you would like to share it. So please feel free to do so, and Have a marvelous, marvelous day. Don't forget to be kind to yourself. And with that, we are going to move on to group 2 in just a minute here as I collect all the cards and shuffles. Terrible shuffle. Take 2. Yeah. I don't know what that was. I doubt anybody paying attention at this point anyways. I would just sit here and watch me shuffle in silence. It's weird, I've caught sight of the Fool card in this deck so many times, even when I was doing a sort of pre-reading reading, so to speak. I noticed that card come out quite a bit. Two more shuffles for this one, so I'll go ahead and do that. Group 2, hello. If you have selected water, then this is going to be your reading, water babies. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So group 2 being the water babies group, we are going to start off with pulling a few cards regarding your overall energy. So 3 cards, please, for group 1. Ooh. Oh, that actually is 3. All right, we have the 6 of Boons, the card of philanthropy. We have the Keeper of Boons, which is the King of Pentacles. And then we have the 4 of Challenges, which is otherwise known as the 4 of Swords. So what I'm seeing right now is your kind of overall energy at the moment with regards to the situation about which you're trying to gain some clarity, is that you're trying to be in a place of mindfulness and almost like abundant stillness is kind of what I'm feeling. Like there's not a whole lot of movement in any of these cards, but there is a lot of abundance. You know what I mean? Like, look at this guy here. You know, the King of Pentacles is, well, I mean, he's the king of the suit. So he's like the divine masculine aspect of that element that has mastery over the pentacles, which is all about the like physical manifestation. So I'm not sure how much you can see in this card here, but he is very much surrounded by a cave full of precious crystals, and he's got a friend there with him, and he's got just a joyful smile on his face. And then this card, like I said, this is the card of altruism. This is the card of having so much abundance that you want to allow that abundance to flow out of you and into the world around you. And then the Four of Challenges, like, okay, sure, maybe there have been some dark times, but you've actually been able to find stability and thriving even within what feels like a barren forest. Look at you, you're an apple tree that's just like busting at the seams with delicious fruit. So that's what we've seen, what we've kind of got going for the current energy, which is a really lovely energy. It feels very soft. It feels like it's a very soft, gentle kind of energy. So let's take a look at, with this situation here, what we've got showing up as the challenge at hand. And the first one is the Ten of Spells, the Ten of Wands, you know, kind of feeling exhausted. So the challenge at hand is that with whatever this situation that you're trying to be masterful with and trying to be abundant with and trying to be mindful and stable with, you know, there's a lot of exhaustion. And then we also have the Fairy Wind, which this is what they call this card in this deck, is otherwise known as the Chariot. And then we also have the Seeker of Spells, which is the Knight of Wands. So the current challenge here is, you know, like the Seeker of Spells. Let's start with this card. Is that a fox there? So like there's this feeling like you've moved out of the child position, out of the page position, and into the knight position. But there's still a lot to be learned here. You know, like the flame on her wand there is kind of perhaps a little bit too big. And if she's not very careful, she could accidentally set something on fire that she's not quite ready to. And with this Ten of Spells, you know, like it's interesting because like, you know, with the challenge at hand, it's like there's this wanting to move forward. There's this wanting to be in that place of the Chariot, and the Chariot is like, you know, you've got a better perspective. You're able to move almost without obstruction down the path that you want to go down. So that's the energy that you want to be in. But what's really challenging it at the moment is this exhaustion and feeling like you don't have the mastery that you need to actually do the thing that you want to do. Like there's something kind of showing up here that's making you feel very overwhelmed and very exhausted to the point where like you can't even tell which way the wind is blowing, is kind of what's coming to mind. Now, moving through those challenges and being able to get some rest. Oh, and you know what's funny, actually, before I move on, I'm just kind of noticing here, like the Four of Challenges, this is the card of meditation and stillness and taking a rest. And so, you know, I kind of feel like maybe you're taking a rest because you have just recently realized that, oh my God, this is exhausting. This is too much. I need a break. I'm not even sure, like, what to do now. Like, I've kind of exhausted myself completely. So now we're going to look at, like, if moving through those energies, you know, those challenges of that exhaustion, what is the gift to be had here? And we have suspension, the Hanged Man, finding your own light, like going within to finding your own inner source of power, your own answers, your own truth. And then we have the Weaver of Spells. So moving from that Seeker of Spells, which is the Night energy, into the Weaver of Spells, which is the Queen energy. So this is like the divine feminine. Like this is somebody who has attained the throne and has, you know, like a true deep understanding and ability to work with that energy. And then, oh, we also have the King of Swords, which, you know, the King of Swords, like, he's not an emotional guy. He's really not. He's very, he's kind of like a judge, you know, where he doesn't let his emotions overtake him or overtake his ability to logically think through a situation and have clarity of thought around it. So I really feel like some gifts to be had here are the marrying of these two energies, the feminine fiery energy and the sort of more masculine air energy and logos sort of energy. And then we also have, just for the heck of it, we also have the Weaver of Boons, which is the Queen of Pentacles, which, I mean, look at this lady. You know, she's got so much beauty around her. She's got gifts ready to bring out into the world, and they really sparkle. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of abundance that can come from finding your own truth, learning how to master those different elements of yourself that maybe sometimes feel like they're in conflict, and sort of see how that can create so much material abundance around you. Like, it just kind of almost flows, oh, wrong one, flows out of this lady here. So those are the gifts to be had from this situation. Now let's take a look at some underlying or unseen elements. So these can be either things that you're not totally conscious of or that are coming your way that you just haven't seen yet, or yeah, something like that. Something that is showing up and influencing the situation, but that you may not be fully aware of. That is interesting. Okay, and we have, oh, fascinating. Fascinating. So we've got the Enchanter's Wheel, which is the Wheel of Fortune. And then we have the World card, which is the ending of a major cycle. These are both about endings of the major cycles, right? Because this is the 10 and this is the 21. So both of these are around things coming to a conclusion. And of course, when things come to a conclusion, that also opens a whole new beginning. And then with the 9 of Boons here, like this lady, the 9 of Boons energy is so independent and so self-reliant and knows its own, like she knows her own sense of worth and knows that she has value, that she brings herself and to the world around her. So it feels like, yeah, like underlying or unseen elements are that this situation, this abundance that you feel, this Keeper of Boons, this, you know, King of Pentacles energy, like, and being the beautiful apple tree in the middle of the barren forest, like these are all, this situation is big. Like this situation, what you might not know about it is that if you're able to move through the challenges of that exhaustion or feeling like you can't do it or not having the tools to do it, if you can do that so that you can accept your gifts of your own truth and marrying those dichotomous energies together into a whole, then this really could open a whole new chapter of your life. And maybe that's not something that you are really seeing, but with both the Enchanter's Wheel, the Wide World, and the 9 of Boons, with all of those showing up, that's really telling me that like this could be something that is very influential in the way that you live your life going forward. So let's see here. Overall challenge, gift. Yeah, we're gonna pull a few cards for advice from your guides. So let's see if we can get some advice from the guides for the water peoples, the water babies here. See what their guides have to say about navigating this energy. Then we'll pull a couple of oracle cards, and then we'll go through and do some clarifiers and see if we can get some more information on this. So 3 cards, please. Advice from guides for our water babies. There's one. We've got the strength card. That is funny. That also came out in that position with the earth reading that I did a little bit ago. We also have the 3 of visions, otherwise known as the 3 of cups. Be a happy dancing bear, hang out with your friends, have some fun, allow people around you to help ease that sense of exhaustion by putting ourselves in a place of where we feel supported by our community. Then that can have a major difference. Oh, and interesting, the 2 of visions also showed up. So we've got the strength card, the 3 of visions, and the 2 of visions. So your guides are inviting you to be in community. Give yourself a break. Give yourself a break and let yourself be in community. And you might, and in joyful community, like spend time with the friends or family or chosen family members that really do make you feel supported, that make it easier for you to tap into that joyful energy that we all have inside of us. Sometimes it's hard to get access, but we do all have it all of the time. So that's some advice from your guides, is to really lean into your community, because especially when you have that feeling of exhaustion, when you're not sure if you're about to set the forest on fire and you're not really 100% sure what you're doing, but you know that what you want to do is be able to walk down the path or move down the path. Sometimes it can be really helpful to lean on our community, not in a way that we remove that 9 of Pentacles self-reliance. It's like there's interdependence, is I guess, rather than codependence, which also came up in the first reading with the Devil card. But you are being advised by your guides to go ahead and allow yourself to be interdependent. There's no shame in that. No man is an island. I don't know why I felt the need to say that, but if you are a person that sometimes allows that 9 of Pentacles energy, that energy of self-reliance, to overtake you, and to let that almost become a detriment where you won't ask for help even when you really, really need it, then your guides are inviting you to, step outside of that regular MO. All right, so before clarifiers, we're pulling a couple of oracle cards, and for the animal oracle, we pulled the armadillo spirit, setting healthy boundaries. That is really interesting because, one, it's always true, like setting healthy boundaries is never bad, but I'm feeling a need to point out that boundaries that we have with others can be either internal or external. So it's not necessarily just about setting healthy boundaries with other people. Sometimes it can be about setting healthy boundaries with ourselves so that we don't let that sense of self-reliance show up and put us in a state of complete and utter exhausted overwhelm. So for some of you, maybe this will be more about setting boundaries with yourself rather than setting boundaries with other people. So one more oracle card, and then we'll do some clarifiers. And we have surfacing. Okay. So it feels like this is something that, has been coming around for a while and is just really starting to, kind of bubble up, and especially with going back to this 4 of Swords energy, this 4 of Challenges energy, a lot of times it will be external circumstances that put us in that place where we need that 4 of Swords energy. We need to retreat from the world a little bit and let ourselves heal and come to a place of more inner peace and inner stability and solidity. So it seems like this has all been coming about for a while. Maybe this is something that that's been kind of, you know, whatever this situation is, maybe it's something that's been kind of, you know, getting at you for a while, and now it's just really starting to bubble to the surface. Maybe it was a situation where you tried to repress something, and that just ended up, you know, being that place of not, you know, when we repress, we don't process. So sometimes, you know, when we repress it, it doesn't make it go away. It just means that we have put it aside to deal with later. That's essentially what happens with repression. Now, with the, so as we pull clarifiers here, we have the Page of Wands. Like, this is a very poetic energy, and it came out in clarity of that Four of Swords. So what I'm kind of seeing is that, like, there was something, maybe it was even a person, maybe it was even a person who was close to you, somebody who is impulsive and who has a lot of passion and maybe a lot of opinions, but isn't necessarily very responsible with the way that they relate that. So maybe it was an external circumstance that brought you to this place of feeling like you are in the middle of a forest that doesn't have a lot of new growth in it. Actually, you know what? I'm going to pull one more clarifier on that, because I feel like, for some reason, I just feel like I should. Oh, okay. And with the Eight of Wands, it's something that came in really, really fast. So I feel like there's a reason. Like, things, you know, with this challenge at hand, with the Ten of Spells, the Ten of Wands showing up, and that exhaustion, that overwhelm, I feel like, you know, even though you are in a place of abundance and wanting to be philanthropic, there's something that came at you really fast, maybe that you weren't expecting, that kind of put you in that state of needing to do a little bit of retreating. Actually, you know, we're gonna pull a clarifier on both the Ten of Spells here and the Fairy Wind, which is otherwise known as the Chariot. So, clarifier for the Ten of Spells is we have the Queen of Pentacles. Okay, so maybe it was a situation where you were looking too much internally and didn't quite notice how exhausting things were becoming. You were more internally focused rather than externally focused, and that allowed things to sort of snowball into a way that it kind of led to this feeling of overwhelm. I think it's funny that this has a bunny too, and that we have all of these bunnies here. And, you know, bunnies do represent both fertility as well as luck. So, you know, maybe there's something of that too. So, all right, let's pull a clarifier for the Fairy Wind card. See if we can get a little more information about why that Chariot card is showing up as a challenge at hand. Oh, that's way too many cards. Oh, that's way too many cards still, but it's only 3. All right, so we have the Ten of Cups, the Ace of Cups, and the Two of Cups. Holy heck. I mean, it feels like it's about love. I feel like the reason why the Chariot is coming up as a challenge at hand is because either a partner or a love interest or a family member, a valued family member, whether or not they are doing it in reality is another story. But there's a perception that this other person's opinion is getting in the way of you moving forward. Maybe there's some fear that, like, you know, maybe as you try and move more into this being charitable and letting your wealth exude out of you, I don't know, it's kind of confusing energy. I'd be curious to see, you know, what, if anybody has anything that they can say, you know, about this resonating for them without giving up information, of course, that you don't want to give, because it seems like this might be pretty personal stuff. But it is very, very interesting. Like, I try to imagine, like, say, for example, I have a partner, and the thing that I'm trying to get clarity on as one of the people in this water baby reading is whether or not I should take on this new venture. And my partner feels worried that if I do this new thing, which could have great yield, because there's the opportunity for greatness, there is also the opportunity for risk. And maybe there's there's fear of that. There's fear of change, and it's not even necessarily your fear. You may be perceiving it as your fear, but what these cards are telling me is that it's actually coming from outside of you, somebody that you have a great deal of love for. And this doesn't mean they're bad, it doesn't mean they're wrong, it just means that sometimes other people's emotions we will take on ourselves, and that will kind of stop us from being able to fulfill our own stuff, because we are carrying around baggage that we think is ours that actually isn't. So maybe an opportunity to, yeah, like go a little bit within and see if you can find your own truth, which really is, like I said, that showed up as the gift here. So like the challenge is going to be moving through, acknowledging the amount of influence that others have on you. And even if it's subtle, even if you don't have a person who's like, you need to do this, just being sometimes aware of other people's judgment will have a dramatic impact on the way that we perceive things. So I feel like part of the challenge here for you is to learn to have discernment over what's yours and what's not yours in terms of fear or anxiety or whatnot, and to not allow yourself to make decisions about your own life based on other people's fears. I hope that made sense. Okay, so now we're going to pull a clarifier. Let's pull a clarifier for that suspension card, for that card about intentionally learning how to be less impulsive, putting on the stops so that you can take the time to go within and find your own truth. And we have the Page of Cups and the Page of Swords. Oh, interesting. There's so much. So the Page of Cups, that's the earthy part of water, and the Page of Swords, that's the earthy part of fire. So between those two things, we have 3 of the 4 elements. Yeah, I feel like the reason this suspension card, this Hanged Man card, is showing up here is because there's a lot of different stuff for you to sort through. And I'm kind of feeling like maybe these 2 guys are showing up as kind of like parts that have an internal dialogue. And that one of the gifts, because again, this is all in the gift section, one of the gifts will be learning how to find the discernment between these 2 energies, and especially where one is cups, which is emotions, and one is swords, which is thinking. I know that I see this in myself all the time, that there are parts that have sometimes internal conflict. There will be a part that has a feeling, and then there will be a part that has thoughts. And sometimes the thoughts want to try and justify the feelings, or the feelings want to justify the thoughts, and that just leads to internal confusion, where instead, if I could take these 2 and bring everybody into this place of suspension, and turning everything upside down on its head and letting those inner truths be known, sort of integrating these 2 opposing voices that are in our head, is the reason why that suspension card is showing up. Oh, they're there. So next we are going to pull a clarifier for the Strength card, and this is the Strength card. Actually, no, I'm going to wait on that because I want to do these guys first. So with the underlying or unseen elements, we had the World card, the Wheel of Fortune, and the 9 of Pentacles. So let's get a clarifier. Let's get a clarifier on the Enchanter's Wheel, otherwise known as the Wheel of Fortune. So a clarifier for the water babies on the Enchanter's Wheel. Thank you. And it is the Ace of Pentacles. So some new opportunity or circumstance has a possibility of being this, chance. great reward. Like it's you know, that luck. Something is very lucky about a new opportunity. And that is something that maybe you weren't expecting. Because like I said, this is showing up in the unseen elements. That's interesting. Did we... Pentacles. Didn't there... I feel like there was a... Maybe not. Nope. That must have been the other reading. I was going to say I thought I had seen another ace come out, but... Oh, I did. Yeah, the Ace of Cups. So it seems like there's been some new stuff coming at you lately. Like new things, new understandings, emotional truths, opportunities, jobs, things like that. You know, which I wonder if that is part of what has caused that sort of feeling of overwhelm and exhaustion. It just feels like everything is going a little bit too fast. All right, and now we're going to pull one more clarifying card. Which one? You know what? We're going to pull a clarifying card for all three of your advice cards. So we had the Three of Visions, otherwise known as the Three of Cups. We had the Two of Visions, otherwise known as the Two of Cups. And then we had the Strength card. So if we could have clarifiers, please, for one each of all three of those. All right, so for the Knight of Swords, we have the Three of Visions. We have for the Three of Visions being clarified by the Knight of Swords, which is very quick acting movement. So this is telling me that, like, the advice from your guides to move out of this place in overwhelm is to really, like, there's no time like the present to reaching out to your chosen family or friends or loved ones to allow them to be in a place of support of you. And it doesn't mean you have to even go to them saying, I need help with this thing. It could just be like, whew, stuff's been exhausting and overwhelming, and I just want to have a nice coffee with my friend or go for a nice walk with my friend and be in that place of community. Be in that place of community. Okay, so let's pull a clarifier for the Two of Visions, which is the Two of Cups. And that was clarified by the Death card. So maybe, allowing something in one of your close relationships to transform and to become something new. This could also be an opportunity to deepen your emotional intimacy with whoever this person is. Like, allow that new vulnerable growth to move forward and to show itself. Like it's very nascent, it's very young. Like I said, it is very vulnerable. I'm kind of imagining like the new roots of something and how, like, when we rip up an old weed that we don't want and instead we put in a plant that we do want there, there's a period of time where during that transformation process, before that new growth can happen, where things need to sort of be protected a little bit and be tended to a little bit more. So maybe there's a reason why you're being called to reach out to this person that you do feel this like heart connection with. It doesn't have to be a romantic partner. It certainly can be, but it can really be just anybody that you feel a close kinship to. But there's an opportunity there. Oop, dang it, dropped one on the floor. There's an opportunity there to allow some things to transform. And then the clarifier for the Strength card is the, oh my gosh, the Wheel of Fortune, which coming up again, that is kind of interesting. So, both the Death card and the Wheel of Fortune showing up as clarifiers for the advice. Again, I think there's a real opportunity for a new cycle to begin here, and your guides are inviting you to allow that new cycle to begin in community. Like something about being in community and allowing yourself to be supported, allowing the strength to show up in a way that, like, it is strong to be vulnerable with people. That is an act of strength, to make yourself emotionally available to people and to allow yourself to become emotionally intimate with people. And that can have some pretty big yields, both with the Death card and the Wheel of Fortune. Like, there's a lot of, you know, this is good advice from the guides. You know, if it's going to bring about a chance at greatness and an opportunity for a whole pile of new growth by clearing out the things that no longer serve us and allowing things to become their more truthful iteration, there's really an opportunity for a lot of heart expansion here. Yeah, so I hope you found this helpful, water babies. That is it for your reading for now. And I am going to go ahead and move along to group 3, which is going to be air. So before I do that, I must collect all the cards and do the reshuffling. Do the reshuffling. Wondering if the sound from either the neighbor's construction project or the sound from the speedway up the road is coming through. There's a few Saturdays, I guess, out of the year where they lift the noise ordinances, and apparently this weekend is one of those weekends because that is pretty loud, and I am not sure how good the noise cancellation on my mic actually is. So I do hope it's not coming through too loud and obnoxious, and my apologies if it is. Shuffle. All right. Oop. Dang it. I think there's one there on the table. Yep. Okay. Group 3, my airy friends. If you selected air as the element that you would like a reading for, then this, in fact, is going to be your reading. So, airy fairies, let's see what we got here. We are going to be looking at a variety of things, and again, this is something about which you are trying to gain clarity. We're going to look at it from a few different facets. So, airy fairies, this reading, if we could connect to that energy. All right, we're going to start with first the overall energy. And we have the Ace of Spells, the Three of Visions, Three of Cups, and the Seeker of Spells. Then I'm going to just pull all of the cards at once. For the challenge at hand, we have the Wise Woman, interesting, which is the High Priestess, the Two of Swords, and the Wheel of Fortune. for the gift to be had, we have the Nine of Boons, the Weaver of Challenges, and the Seeker of Visions. For underlying elements, we have the Nine of Cups, the Magician, and the Chariot. And then for advice from our guides, we have the Keeper of Spells, the Eight of Challenges, and the Weaver of Visions. Ooh, interesting. So the overall energy is being in this place of, it's very, there's a lot of fire energy here. 2 out of 3 of these are fire energy. So there feels like this is something like, okay, ooh, wrong one. So the Ace of Spells here, the Ace of Wands, is about a new passion, a new inspiration that has come to you in some way, shape, or form, like gift from the universe. You know, like it's that initial spark of inspiration before anything has actually started to manifest or really even take shape yet. It's really just a kind of lightning bolt moment. And then we have the Seeker spells, you know, like this is the Knight of Spells, or the Knight of Wands. So there's a, you know, like there's a lot of, like there is a lot of knowledge that has already been gained, but it's not quite mastery yet. Like there has been a lot of work that's been put in, but as you can tell, you know, her fire on her wand is perhaps a little bit on the big side. So, you know, there's a potential there for more learning to be done and more refinement of skills to be done with regards to this, you know, situation. And then the Three of Visions, which is the Three of Cups. So it's about being in joyful community. So I feel like maybe this is, whatever this situation is that you are curious about, my airy fairies, and trying to gain clarity around, it has something to do with a passion project, something that you're wanting to and have been putting effort in on, and maybe something that you're even collaborating with or co-creating with other people. Now with the challenge at hand, we have the High Priestess, the Two of Swords, and the Enchanter's Wheel, which is otherwise known as the Wheel of Fortune. So the challenge at hand here is maybe you feel like you've been having a hard time tuning into your own intuition, or like asking yourself with this Two of Challenges, which is also known as the Two of Swords. So that can be that feeling of like having to make a decision, but not knowing or not feeling like you have enough information to make the decision, and feeling like there's a weight to it, a weight to it. Like with both the High Priestess and the Wheel of Fortune here, I feel like maybe one of the challenges that you're having is that you are feeling undecided. You're feeling like you want to make a step forward, like you want to make a choice, but you don't feel like you have all of the information available to you. So you're just like stuck. It feels stuck, you know, like there's a stuckness, but it's like a stuckness that's getting in the way from some really great shit. Because, you know, the Wise Woman is the, there it is, the Wise Woman is the High Priestess, right? So this is all about getting in touch with our own divine intuitive senses and our intuitive natures, and being a channel for our own higher spirit. So like that is kind of showing up as a challenge. So like what I'm seeing is like, you know, in this card, nope, this card can also be about mirroring. So perhaps it might also be one of those situations where the challenge at hand is that you are, you know, doing a lot of mirroring of other people, or like taking on the programming from other people and then looking at yourself in the mirror and thinking that it's you, when the reality is that like you actually need to get in touch with your own intuition so that you can, you know, sort of break the chain. So kind of what I see is that like, in terms of how this challenge plays out, like this energy is showing up and getting in the way of, wait, am I doing that right? Okay, this energy is showing up and getting in the way of this energy, which is making it difficult for you to access this, the wheel, for you to access this chance that you need in order for this collaboration and this co-creation that you've been working on to work out. Sorry, I dropped a card on the ground. because that's how I do. That's how I do. All right. So now with the gift to be had from this situation, we have the 9 of Boons, the Weaver of Challenges, and the 7 of Visions. What interesting information, what interesting energy to be gifted with, right? Because like, as you can tell, there's like a stark difference. Oh wait, no, there's a stark difference between like this lady and this lady, if you're looking at the cards. But they're actually a lot more similar than you might imagine. Because this lady, you know, this lady, she's very independent. She's very good at relying on herself and having an understanding of what her own skills and capabilities are. Like, this is beautiful, beautiful energy. And this energy is also quite lovely. I mean, even the card itself, you know, it's stark, but it's beautiful, you know? And so like, this is the Queen of Swords. Like, this lady knows the truth. She might not be in touch with her emotions, but she is willing and able to see and use the sword of truth as appropriate. And then with this third card showing up, like, options. So the gift here, and we'll get clarifiers on all of the, or on these cards in a minute, a couple minutes here, but like, what I'm seeing here as the gift to be had from being able to move through these challenges and move through this block of mirroring and feeling like you don't have the information. If you can do that, then you'll gain greater access to your own truth, which will allow you to step into your own sense of self-mastery and self-reliance, which will in turn open up a lot of doors. It will open up a lot of opportunities. It will, if you can sort of merge those aspects of yourself, the one who is the like earthy, manifesting, self-reliant part, along with the part that has a strength of will and a clarity and a understanding of your own thought processes and how they work, then that really does mean that you've got a ton of options available to you. You know, the 7 of Cups is kind of about imagination, you know, and having access to a variety of different opportunities that you could move towards. Now, with the unseen or underlying elements, we have the Chariot, the 9 of Cups, and the Enchanter, which is otherwise known as the Magician. That's interesting. So with the unseen energy here, we've got, you know, moving forward with a sense of purpose, being the manifester, the magician, having all of the tools available to you already to create the magic that you want to create. And with the 9 of Cups, like, yeah, it's the wishing well. Like, there's so much magic on the coin that you're throwing into the wishing well. So maybe what you don't see here, what you don't see here is how much you actually have available to you. Like, this is powerful stuff that you've got at your fingertips, and you might not even be aware of how that's shaping this situation. It's interesting too, because like with the overall energy being a spirit of like a collaborative effort or like teamwork on something that you've been working towards, a project of some sort, or an idea, or like there's something about like this collaboration, this co-creation that you're working on that really does have a lot of big elements to it. All right, let that one percolate in my mind for a minute here on the unseen or underlying elements. And we're going to look at the keepers, or the advice from our guides, which we have the Weaver of Visions, which is the Knight of Cups, treating oneself with gentleness, being kind and receptive. And then we also have the Keeper of Spells, which is the King of Wands. So the merging of that water energy and that fire energy, you know, maybe has created a lot of steam where you feel like you don't have clarity and you feel like, you know, you're stuck in brambles and there's no way to get out without scratching yourself. But since it, you know, this is showing up in the advice card, so like, you know, it's interesting, like one, heart chakra, even though this is the Keeper of Swords, the Keeper of Spells, which is Wands, I do feel like the heart chakra is kind of what's going on here. So, you know, advice from your guides is to be kind and gentle with yourself. Open yourself to the possibility that, even though it feels like there's a challenge to working through this, that there's, that the challenge isn't as great as you might think, because you're supported here by so much more powerful energy than the Eight of Swords actually can create on its own. So there is, like, you know, the Eight of Swords, you know, it's definitely not one of the hardest energies to work through, but it is a challenging energy. It's being in that place where our perception of situations is that we are unable to move forward without causing harm, or we are uncertain as to whether we can move forward without causing harm. So there's some inherent fear and distress that's built up around this. But, you know, it's important to remember that that we could either just wash away all those brambles and allow the path to be cleared, or we could just burn them all up, and that would allow us a clear path forward. So the advice from our guides is to lean into our strengths and not let these self-limiting beliefs stop us from being able to achieve these higher energies of you know, being masterful over our own life. All right, now we're gonna pull, we're gonna pull a couple of oracle cards, and then we're going to do some clarifiers. So for an oracle card, we have that one. That's the one that wants to come out. Time to collaborate, Ant Spirit. So this is, again, just reinforcing that where you are with this current energy of being in a place of co-creating and collaborating on a project is exactly where you are meant to be. You are meant to be working as part of a team that is to everybody's benefit. You are meant to be dancing with the bears happily. And let's pull another oracle deck, and then we will, or oracle card, and then we will start the clarifiers. See if we can eke out a little bit more information. Yes? Yes. We have caretaker. So again, like, you know, I'm curious now what this collaboration is, and what this project is and what this team is, but it does seem as though you are perhaps the person who shoulders a lot of the responsibility for things, that you are in a position where you caretake for others. And that's okay, because like collaborating, I mean, part of caretaking, or part of collaborating is taking care of others, but it's important to remember that we also need to allow ourselves to be caretook. I don't think that's a word. I don't think that's a word at all. But we need to allow others as well to caretake for us. So that is important information. Let's go ahead and get some clarifiers. let's clarify. Let's clarify that Seeker of Spells in the current energy. In the Seeker of Spells, that is the Knight of Wands in other decks. And we have showing up for that the Ten of Wands. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. So I feel like perhaps the history of like the reason you've been able to use painful experiences from your past and kind of temper them and alchemize those difficult, overwhelming, exhausting experiences from the past into an actual strength. And it's still work that you're doing. I kind of feel like there's a lot of healing energy. Neither one of these cards is traditionally known as being like big healing energy, but I feel like the space between these two cards is indicative of a lot of healing energy. So I feel like you've already done a ton of work to get yourself to this place where you've moved out of this energy and instead you're learning how to harness those passions and that impulsivity rather than allowing yourself to get into a state where you are just overwhelmed and exhausted and really kind of unable to do anything. So that's some progress right there. And maybe that has been part of learning how to rely on other people and learning how to co-create and collaborate on things and be a part of a team rather than just being the one who takes care of everything to the point where you work yourself into exhaustion. All right, so for the challenges at hand, let us pull a clarifier for why is the High Priestess showing up as a challenge at hand. So why is the Priestess showing up as a challenge at hand? And we have the Four of Pentacles. So there's a fear of stepping into your intuitive self and really connecting with that High Priestess energy. You know, it's almost like you kind of feel like somehow it's a zero-sum game. Like if you do that now, if you allow yourself connect with your intuition and get these answers, that somehow that will stop you from getting different answers in the future or something like that. And that's just not the case. Like that's not how our own intuition and our own connection with the divine or with spirit works. Like there isn't, even though the perception might be that it feels like it's a limited resourcing, having access to the divine, it's actually not. And that's what it is. Okay, that's what it is. Like there's a feeling, the reason why the High Priestess is showing up as a challenge is because you feel somehow like you're not really entitled to it. Almost like that way that if we hold on to things too tight, we're just as likely to break them, which then means that we don't get to have them anymore. So it's like unhelpful attachment to things, whereas if we can allow ourselves to slip more into a detached state, and by detached I mean where we allow ourselves to slip into observer mode, where we are not actively judging, we are not actively overly attached to a particular outcome of a situation, if we're able to just be the non-judgmental witness to our own life and step away from those attachments, then that's what really allows the intuition to move through us with more fluidity. So that is a really great clarifier. I'm so glad that that one came out, because that one I had been curious. Okay, so now let's get a clarifier on the gift to be had. So let's look at that. Let's get a clarifier on the Seven of Visions, the Seven of Cups for the gifts to be had. And the one that popped out here is the Ten of Cups. So allowing ourselves to be open to possibilities, and that being the gift from moving from this situation, if we're able to successfully move through these challenges, is really the fulfillment of your heart. It's like the happy home and heart card. I mean, there's a damn fucking rainbow on it. Pardon my language, but that really doesn't get any better than that. And so a gift is that the more possibilities we allow ourselves to entertain, the more we kind of unlock the key to our intuition that opens some narrow pathways to dream and sort of like in an extroverted intuition way, like be aware and be able to perceive the variety of options available to us. And it's when we're able to perceive the variety of options available to us that we're able to choose the option that will give us the most wish fulfillment and the happiest heart and home that we could manage. So I love that. There's so much good stuff here. Okay, so let's get a clarifier on the let's get a clarifier for on the underlying or unseen elements. Let's get a clarifier on the Chariot card. Why is the Chariot card showing up as an unseen or unknown element? And that is the Three of Pentacles. Oh, so much collaboration showing up here. That's interesting. There's something about moving forward with another person. And I'm wondering if it's, whatever the situation, if it's something that you've been collaborating with a team with, then, we've got a couple of threes here. And it feels like, we've got the three in the current energy. We've got the three in the unseen elements showing up to clarify the Chariot, which is all about moving forward. So I wonder if maybe one of the things that you are not realizing or not seeing is that, the team, like there are other people that are involved in moving everything forward. And maybe you're not acknowledging that. Maybe there's a part of you that's kind of hoping that you can take what this, one of the yields of this team project and move it forward kind of on your own. And the Fairy Wind card clarified by the Three of Pentacles is kind of indicating to me that other people are supposed to be involved in a way, like other people are going to be helping you drive this forward. And it's not that you're turning over your chariot to them and letting them do the drive for you. It's that you're agreeing to drive it together in some way. Like this is part of a team project that's showing up here. Now let's see if we can get a clarifier regarding the advice from your guides. Which one do we want to clarify? We want to clarify that Eight of Challenge. So why is the Eight of Challenges, otherwise known as the Eight of Swords, showing up in the reading here under the advice? And the card that came out is the Four of Wands. Fours are very stable energy. I mean, fours and eights, an 8 is 4 times 2. So I also sometimes will think of this card as the 11-11 card. So I do sometimes even more than the Two of Cups or the Lovers card. This is the card that I think of as the Twin Flame card. So if that resonates for you, then there might be some clarity to be had. Like maybe you feel like you've been burned by the twin flame or the partner situation before, and that makes it difficult to feel like you have an idea of what's going on. I'm going to pull, actually, I think I've done this with the other couple of readings I've already done. I'm going to pull clarifiers for all 3 of these cards in the advice, because that did seem to work pretty well and sort of flesh things out a bit. So we have, for the Keeper of Swords, as clarified by the Ten of Swords. Keeper of Spells is clarified by the Ten of Swords. And then we have the Seven of Cups showing up again to clarify the Queen of Pentacles. Queen of, goodness gracious, the Weaver of Visions. That is interesting. That is very interesting. So, I think it's kind of, okay. So with the 3 clarifier cards, we have 2 that are pretty positive, and then we have 1 that is some difficult energy to navigate. And with the original cards that we pulled on the advice from the guides, we kind of had a similar situation where we had 2 supportive energies and 1 difficult energy. So, you know, the advice from your guides is that, like, maybe it feels like you're not getting consistent messages. Like, in some ways, things feel like they're going great, but in other ways, there's this history of deep pain showing up with this Keeper of Spells. So it's almost like you've taken this pain in the past and you've used it to create this fire in you. You know, you've used it to, this pain has opened your heart chakra, or the advice from your guides, rather, I guess I could say this better, is that your guides are advising that you allow that difficult pain from your past to, rather than that be a situation where it closes your heart chakra down, allow that be a situation where you allow your heart chakra to open. And with the 7 of Cups showing up to clarify the Weaver of Cups, you know, I feel like, you know, again, there's a choice to be made here. There's options available. And, you know, your guides are saying that, you know, the choice is yours, really, at the end of the day. Like, nobody's telling you that you have to transmute painful information or painful experiences into your strengths, but you sure can. It's an option. You don't have to do it, but if you can, then there are so many positive yields from it. And with the 8 of Challenges being, you know, showing up here with the 4 of Wands, you know, it's again, there's a real dichotomy here of painful energy and celebratory energy, and that sometimes that which brings us the greatest joy also can be the thing that muddies the waters, and also can be the thing that brings us pain. You know, like, you can't weave in amongst the blackberries and expect to be able to choose the most delicious, juicy berries out there without coming across some thorns. So it's a matter of arming ourselves and protecting ourselves with what we can, and knowing that we are taking a risk, but that the risk can yield some really beautiful fruit and a very, very delicious pie. So I think that's all I have for you on this one. I hope you guys have found this helpful. I really love the energy of this one. This one has so much more collaborative energy than the first 2 readings did, and you know, that's always very exciting. So if you'd like to share your experiences, that would be wonderful, and I hope you've had this helpful. And I'm gonna go ahead and clean up these cards and move on to the next one. Oh, so much talky. I don't usually talk for over an hour and a half or however long it's been. Okey-dokey. Let the shuffling begin. would come in and entertain us while I was doing the shuffling. Okay. One more deck to shuffle, and then we will go ahead and move on to the fire reading. All right, group 4. If you have selected fire as the element that you wanted a reading for, then this, in fact, is your reading. So, fiery friends, let's see what we see. So again, we are looking for clarity for group 4, the fiery friends. And we're gonna pull a whole bunch of cards here. For group 4, please. Okay, so for current energies, we have the 9 of spells and the 8 of spells, which is wands, and the 2 of boons, which is pentacles. For the challenge at hand, we have the keeper of challenges, the magician, and the moon. For the gift to be had, we have the huntsman, which is justice. We have the 5 of boons and the 10 of challenges. Some interesting energy showing up in the gift to be had. Underlining or unseen elements, we've got the Weaver of Visions, the Weaver of Challenges, and the Wheel of Fortune. And then in advice from guides, we've got the Seeker of Spells, the 10 of Visions, and the Council of Animals, which is known as Judgment. Oof. Fiery friends. This is some energy. This is some energy. Actually, I'm going to go ahead. I don't think I did this with the other cards, but I'm going to, while I'm letting these messages kind of soak in, I'm going to also pull your oracle cards. So we have Starseed. Okay. Interesting. So if you're not familiar with the phrase Starseed, or if you're not sure if you are one, then maybe take a look into that, because at least something here in the cards indicating you are. And for our animal spirit, we have the deer spirit, bringing a gentle touch. So, okay, let's go ahead and get started here. So for your current energy, we have the 9 of spells and the 8 of spells and the 2 of boons. And spells is wands, and boons is pentacles. So what I'm seeing from this energy is that you are currently in a place where it feels like there's a lot of intuitive information or a lot of communication that's coming in for you right now. And part of you feels like you're carrying a bit of a heavy load, and you are kind of not aware of the fact that perhaps there's a troll under that bridge. So basically you are doing a lot of work trying to move forward and be balanced, and that you're unaware of chaos that is just about to show up in your space or has just shown up in your space. And that is leading to a feeling like, like the 9 of spells, there's a feeling like one wants to protect, like one maybe wants to cast a circle around oneself to create a safe space. So your current energy is kind of like you're trying to do the hard work that needs to be done, but it feels like there's a lot of like incoming, and it's putting you in a place where maybe you're feeling like you need to have your defenses up. And with regards to the challenge at hand, it's interesting that we have 1 court card and two major arcana showing up. So in your challenge at hand, Moonlight, not feeling like we have clarity to see what we need to see, to manifest what we want, and maybe also even feeling like we don't have the discernment, or we aren't rationalizing things, or we don't have a understanding of the why. Like, the challenge at hand is the why. Like, why are you trying to move forward? Why is all of everything feeling like it's coming in too fast and that there's this need to protect? And how is that getting in the way from us seeing that we do have this ability to manifest, and that, well, the moon doesn't illuminate everything, it does shed light on us, and it does bring an air of like the mystery and the unknown, and that's feeling like it's a challenge to you right now. So, okay, pardon me. With the gift to be had, and I'm really looking forward to the clarifiers here, or seeing how this comes out, because there's, okay, I get it. So we've got justice, right? Being in integrity is the gift to be had, particularly with regards to past experiences or current experiences of feeling like we don't have the resources to get our needs met. So moving out of this very self-limiting mindset, because like there's not a lot of truth in the 5 of Pentacles sometimes, you know, because if you look at the picture here, like, yeah, they look very cold and they look forlorn, but if they just turned around, they would see that nice, warm, toasty cabin is right there. It's right behind them. They could easily get there and get all of their needs met and not be in that place of suffering in the cold, you know. And with the 10 of Challenges, like, this is a card of defeat. This is a card of feeling like the sword that we've been fighting our fights with is just broken, and there's nothing left for us to do but just wait for it to end. But what's interesting is that since this is all coming up as the gift to be had, I really feel like the gift to be had is taking these energies, taking these dark, difficult, defeating, self-limiting energies, and transmuting them into this energy of the huntsman, using our experiences and our hurts and our pain to get a better understanding of ourselves and be in a place of integrity. To be in a place of integrity, both with self and with the world around us. So that's a pretty fucking fabulous gift. With the, I'm going to do these ones first. With the underlying or unseen elements, we have the Weaver of Challenges, the Weaver of Visions, and the Enchanter's Wheel. And I think that is so interesting. So I'm wondering if, I feel like this came up in one of the other readings, but I don't remember if it was air or water. I'm pretty sure it wasn't earth, but I can't remember if it was air or water. But anyhow, discernment. Discernment is the underlying or unseen element. Like, there's 2 parts of you that are very much in conflict, and they are of equal force and equal mastery. Like, they are both queens in this case. And so, like, we've got the Queen of Challenges, which is swords. So, like, this lady, you know, holds the Sword of Truth and isn't, well, actually, I don't think she's actually holding it in this very picture, but she has access to the Sword of Truth, and she knows how to use it, and she doesn't have any fear of using it. And this lady has an understanding of emotional truths and what those mean to us and how those things tie together. But I feel like what's interesting is that, like, there's, yeah, like, your discernment and your ability to marry into a cohesive whole circle these two opposing voices is the unseen element that might be showing up and influencing you. You know, and it's kind of like chance, which here's an example of how this could work. So if you are a person that has an internal monologue in some way, and perhaps if you are a person who has an internal monologue or dialogue, as the case may be, that is sometimes not very supportive and sometimes not very nice to the self, then this can be one of those things where we kind of feel like we're going at each other, and like having an internal conversation one day might be very different from the internal conversation we have another day, because the reality is that both of these are just parts and neither one of them actually speaks the truth. You put them together and together they kind of create more of the whole than they do individually. So I think maybe that's something that would be helpful for you to remember, particularly if you do. And it also, just so you know, it can also be external voices. It can be that you have people around you who, with regards to this situation that you're trying to gain clarity about, are giving you opposing views and you're not sure. It's just like a crapshoot. You're just like tossing the dice or flipping the coin as to which person you're going to listen to. So regardless, the underlying element is a sort of a mashup of communications that are coming in, and both or all of those communications claiming to be the one singular truth, when the reality is they're all just parts of the truth, and if you'd have to put them together to get a real full picture. So with advice from our guides, we have the Seeker of Spells, allowing ourselves to be the continuing student of learning how to master the element of fire, learning how to temper our impulses, learning how to use fire to our benefit as a helpful tool, and learning the lessons that we need to learn so that we don't accidentally burn down our house. So, you know, our guides are asking us to allow ourselves to be open to those learnings, and allowing ourselves to be open to Ten of Cups energy, allowing our hearts to be open, allowing our hearts and our spirits to dream of the things that can bring us the whole happy home, happy heart situation. And the Council of Animals, I just really do love this deck. Council of Animals is also known as the Judgment card. And so the advice from your guides is to answer the call. Answer the call of what is going to make your heart feel full and what is going to... Oh, shit. Can I do that here? Dang it, dang it, dang it. Technical issues, technical issues. I'll be right back. Charging? We're gonna hope you're charging. Okay. Sorry about that, folks. Rookie error. And I was not planning on this video being so long, but I got chatty. Okay, so going back to the advice from your guides. Advice from your guides is to answer the call. And one of the other things that I really like about this particular rendition of this card... I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to make that come out any clearer. Sometimes that works. I don't know if that's working or not. But anyways, you can see that there are a variety of different animals on this particular card. So there is a squirrel, a bat, an owl, a raven or crow, a badger, a fox, a possum, or maybe a hedgehog, and a frog, and a deer, and a... Anyways, there's a bunch of animals, and each one has different meanings. So take a minute to look at this card, and whichever animal is the one that is speaking to you most. I don't know why this suggestion just came into my mind, but close your eyes and do a little bit of a meditation and see if you can connect with that animal and see what that animal is trying to gift you. I think it is interesting that for the animal oracle card, we also had a deer show up and it said to bring a gentle touch. So even though there's a lot of sort of conflicting energy here and there's a lot of opportunities to transmute difficult information or overwhelming situations to our benefit, with that, where we kind of started with that, you know, feeling like you're walking through the forest, you're carrying some heavy loads, and maybe you're feeling like you need to set up your defenses. It kind of feels like the owls are all coming at you really quick with all of their information, and you know, like that can definitely feel a bit overwhelming, and that is okay. Bringing a gentle touch to the situation, even if it feels overwhelming, is going to serve you well here. So yeah, so with the advice from your guides, dream big. Like, dream big, allow yourself to imagine what situations would fill your heart, and allow yourself to be the student, and allow yourself to answer the call. And, you know, like, especially with that coming up, that advice coming up in the, or in that, with that card coming up with the advice from guides slot, you know, I think that there's, like, Spirit is asking you to embrace your purpose. Spirit is asking you to embrace your purpose. So let's go ahead and get some clarifiers on all of these. And we're going to start with, let's get a clarifier for the Eight of Wands. Why is the Eight of Wands showing up in that overall energy? And it's the Eight of Pentacles. So Eight of Wands clarified by the Eight of Pentacles. There's some practice that needs to be done here. This is something that you've been putting in your time towards. And so even though it may feel like things are kind of coming at you quickly and that things have ramped up, that kind of is the case, but it's the case because you've been working at this. You know, you've been working at this so long and so with so much diligence that, like, the dominoes are starting to fall into place. Now let's see if we can get a clarifier for the challenge at hand. Which one do we want to look here? I'm going to keep that one aside just because it fell out. It's the Two of Pentacles. So Two of Pentacles showing up twice in this reading. You know, trying to be in that place where you're able to juggle and carry everything, even while there's chaos kind of going on in your environment. And then for the clarifier on the Keeper of Challenges, we have the Queen of Wands. So the King of Swords being kind of detached from the emotional part of the experience is being clarified by the by the Queen of Wands, who is, you know, she kind of, I mean, even though it's not an earth sign, I always kind of feel a little bit like earth mummy about this lady. And maybe it's just because she's got a familiar and that speaks to me. And, you know, obviously she's a gardener, because instead of holding a fancy staff or a fancy whatever, she's got, you know, a beautiful sunflower in her hand. So with that showing up to clarify the king, what I'm seeing here is that, like, with the challenges, it's not so much that you want to be completely detached as you want to take a situation, like if there's something that you used to have a great deal of fiery passion for and you've noticed, like, it would be better to temper that fire or modify that fire with some coolness of logic. So the challenge is to take something that feels like you want to act impulsively and instead being able to step back and approach it from a place of being a little detached. And sometimes that detachment allows our discernment to be much, 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 much clearer. So now let's see, which one do we want to clarify next? Let's get a clarity on, let's get a clarifier on why this Ten of Challenges, why this Ten of Swords is showing up in your gifts to be had. Why is the Ten of Swords showing up in the Fiery Friends? And it's the Hermit, as clarified by the Hermit card. You know what I'm getting, and again, take what resonates, leave the rest, but what I'm really getting here is that this is the gift to be had here is an opportunity to transmute unresolved trauma, basically, or transmute past traumas to allow ourselves to really do the healing, you know, and Hermit energy can be very, very healing energy, because that light that the Hermit finds, you know, the Hermit intentionally will choose to spend time alone for the purpose of finding the light in the lantern. And then once the lantern is found, then the Hermit can, you know, essentially act as a guide for others. But before you can get any of there, you need to take those elements of your past that are still impacting you, and maybe even showing up physically in your body through the form of some sort of chronic illness or chronic condition. Like those are the gift to be had here is a resolution of unresolved traumas or unresolved situations. There is a opportunity for some pretty deep healing to occur here. And that will, of course, allow us to be in that state of internal integrity where we are at one with self, because we are no longer divided from having unresolved things from our past. Okay, so now let's get a clarifier on... the Wheel of Fortune that's showing up in the unseen elements. Why is the chance showing up as an unseen in the unseen elements, or things you don't see coming? That one. And it is the Eight of Swords. Yeah, this kind of just is supporting, I guess, what I've already said, which is that, you know, there are these two voices inside of you. They're both you. I mean, they're both impacted by programming, of course, but the fact is that, like, if there's a voice in your head, it's your voice. It's still you. So even if you initially got it from somewhere, at some point you decided to adopt it and make it a part of you. But that isn't something that you have to do. Like, maybe something that you're not seeing here is that you have the ability to change that, because even though this person feels bound, even though this person feels like they can't make a move forward and they don't have any clarity to see which direction to step in to avoid getting their shoes muddy and getting stuck, the reality is that they are not bound very tightly. You can wiggle out of that. You can wiggle out of that. It's merely the belief that you are bound that is keeping you in that state of binding. So there's a lot of, you know, again, this is one of those cards, kind of like the Five of Pentacles, that is it's a card of self-limiting beliefs and not being able to see because we believe that we can't see, rather than not being able to see because it's dark. So let's pull some more. We're going to do 3 more clarifying cards. We're going to get a clarifier on each of the cards that showed up in the advice from guides. And that, again, is the Seeker of Spells, being willing to be the student, the Ten of Visions, you know, daring to dream about the things that fill our heart, and the Council of Animals, being willing to accept the call from Spirit. And looking out my window right now, I'm seeing one of my beautiful crow friends is sitting on the wire waiting for me to come out and probably give him some snacky treats. Okay, so clarifier for each of these cards. For the Seeker of Spells, we have the Hanged Man. Okay, so allowing ourselves to be the student, only because, like, allowing ourselves to be the student because we've gone within and we've chosen to do that. We're making that choice. Like, there's something that we're kind of on board already with our guides. Like the Hanged Man, I think that showed up in the third, I think that showed up in the air reading. I think it was the air reading. Maybe it was water. Anyways, doesn't matter. So the Hanged Man showing up to clarify the Seeker of Spells is like, in order to embrace the part of yourself that is willing to be the student, your guides are telling you that like there is going to be your own internal wisdom. And sometimes to be the student, to put ourselves in a place where we're willing to learn, we have to first acknowledge that there are things to be learned. So it's almost like a going within to challenge the information that we already have inside, and then acknowledging and knowing that that is something that we would like to continue to learn on, like that we know we're not done, that there's more to be done, and that sometimes with being a student, it means that you have to kind of like stop and take a look around and, do the reading before you move on to the experiments. So 10 of Visions as clarified by the 3 of Cups. And isn't it funny that like there are 3 unicorns here and there are 3 people celebrating here? So maybe this is, your guides inviting you to acknowledge that a part of what makes your 10 of Visions, what makes your heart feel full, is being in community, is having the people, having your soul kin. The 10 of Cups doesn't necessarily have to mean that you're going to have a spouse of a gender, doesn't matter which gender, but that you're going to have a singular partner and that you're going to have your 2.5 children in your house with your picket fence. That's very antiquated. This isn't asking you to pursue that dream. This is asking you to pursue your dream. And your dream might be something that includes collaborating with your soulkin. Your dream might be, who knows, maybe your dream is to be in a polyamorous relationship. Whatever the case may be, there is an air of other people, of co-creation, co-creating that 10 of Visions. And then one more card for the Council of Animals, which is again known as the Judgment card. That is clarified by the 8 of Cups. So your guides are inviting you to acknowledge that being able to answer the call, like answering the call is the thing that we're walking towards. Like when it feels like we are walking away from things that no longer serve us, and that we are walking towards new horizons, and that we are walking towards new things that we can't even see, that like you can't even really, this guy doesn't even know where he's headed. There's a smidge of the Fool energy about this, where you are moving stepping forward, and your guides are, I guess a way to put this would be that your guides are inviting you to acknowledge that stepping into your power is stepping away from things that no longer serve you. Answering the call that your spirit has for you is really the only way to move forward, the only way to find your bright horizon, because that's where that 10 of Visions energy is. Yeah, that is it. I hope that you found this helpful, my fiery friends, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take so much care. Don't forget to be kind and gentle with yourself. I look forward to seeing you next time.